Dopamine here. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours on each handheld, and I'm obsessed with this stuff. This whole channel is dedicated to it. And let me tell you why I think if you haven't purchased a handheld yet, or you're looking at which ones to get, the power's to you, but I do kind of think that the Steam Deck should be your first handheld. Depending on the person that you are, I think for most people, it should be their first. And let me explain to you why. Number one is just, it's easy, right? It's an easy operating system. The Steam Deck is running on Linux, but it's a modified version of Linux, and it gives you this amazing presentation, right? It's no different than a Nintendo Switch. It feels like a console, and what's cool about that is if you're familiar with Windows and if you've had a Windows handheld, you'll know you don't get that experience. Things are a lot more challenging than just to have your games laid out like that, looking pretty, ready to play. You know, it doesn't take much time at all for you just to press A 2 times to play your game. If you want to run a software update, it tells you, you click A to update and it does its thing. There's no drivers you need to worry about. There's no, Legion space or Armory crate that you have to worry about. Then like Windows updates on the side as well. Just super simple. And the cool thing, like I mentioned, SteamOS is just easy to maintain. You don't have to really maintain it. And I've talked about this a lot with my other videos, Windows is a little messy when it comes to handhelds. And if you're new with this stuff, do not get a Windows because there are so many glitches. This is just a walk in the ballpark. If you have a child, your 6-year-old knows exactly what to do on SteamOS. Number 2 is the Steam Deck Oled is genuinely portable. And with the handheld industry, it's obviously focused on portability. The price that you pay for these higher end handhelds like the Rog Ally and the Legion Go, you're actually gaining more performance, which is great, but you're losing portability. They may be small, you can carry them in a backpack, but the battery only lasts an hour. And the sleep function doesn't work well. You put the device to sleep and it doesn't wake up, and it's just it's maintenance, and it's not fully reliable yet. Microsoft has to work on that. I made a video before this talking about that. What's crazy is that with the Steam Deck OLED, the battery is actually like 4 hours long on a AAA game that you want to play. Okay, I can play Manor Lords for 4 hours. I can play Kingdom Come Deliverance for 3 hours. I can play Cyberpunk for another 3 hours. And it's just so convenient to play a game unplugged, not worrying about battery. It's awesome. The other thing is, it's the sleep function. When you put the device to sleep, I'm telling you, this is so important on a handheld. You want to put the device to sleep. And when you come back from work, you come back from a job you had to do or something, you want to just press the button and pick up where you left off. Steam Deck does that perfectly. There is no battery drain in between. It takes maybe 1 second, 1.5 seconds to boot into your game. And that's priceless because with the Rog Ally and the Legion Go, you can do that. But half the time it turns back on out of nowhere and runs you out of battery. Half the time you press the power button, it doesn't actually turn off. And then it just turns back on in the middle of nowhere, and like there's some weirdness going on. And then when the device on the handheld is asleep, finally, it drains a bit of battery. Quite a bit, to be honest here. The other thing is like durability. I personally don't really use a case that much. I haven't really bothered with that. You don't have to really, you can kind of throw the device around and not really worry too much. I'm not going to tell you it's durable and built like a tank like the Rog Ally is, but it is in fact very forgiving to minor drops or dings here and there, And another thing is the case is actually pretty cool. And if you get the terabyte model, you'll actually get like a micro case, which is super fun. And my favorite part about the Steam Deck OLED and why I think it's so great for beginners is because there's no time consumption. When you power your device on, it takes about 6 seconds from turning off it completely. You want to play your game, it boots up in about 4 or 5 seconds, right? And you can be on that game and not have to close out for days and days and days. What I mean by that is, with a Windows handheld, the time consumption is like making sure that the resolution is fitting right because for some reason it's cropped to the left, and oh, maybe these graphics drivers will work better with the performance of this game, or I got to download lossless scaling to increase my frames, which means that I have to also run 2 programs at once, which means I'm shuffling between things, and there's maintenance and it takes time. It's to really fine-tune your experience. I always play games before I go to bed, and with the Windows handheld, it's more of a commitment to play games on it because I have to get ready for it, right? I have to turn on the device, click 5 times to boot into my game sometimes, and then I gotta change it to turbo mode if it's plugged in. If it's not plugged in, I'm only gonna have 30 minutes of battery, so I have to find a charger, I have to plug it in. It's time consuming. The Steam Deck just isn't that way. Listen, I won't ask you to subscribe. If this is your thing, it's your thing, you know what to do. But do tell me what I can do to make my videos better. I really want to get this down. Number 3 is for why it's great for beginners is because the Steam Deck has a large community. You will not feel alone in the desert with the Steam Deck. You've got tons of people on Reddit that have had the same problem as you. You've got tons of people in the community that are working on improving things with the Steam Deck. There's a ton of cool little mods you can do. You can change the themes. You can do fun little plugins that people have made. And another great thing is accessories. There's a lot of accessories for the Steam Deck. And it's a very popular device, which means there's a high demand for third-party companies and developers to come in there and kind of give it what they've got. Whereas with Rog Ally, Legion Go, you can kind of feel alone at times. You really have to rely on Lenovo, Asus to kind of keep you supplied with update drops and packages and things like that. You know what I mean? When Valve pushes out an update for the Steamdeck Oled, it is dedicated to the Steamdeck Oled, and that's just another plus. Number 4 kind of goes in line with number 3, and that is Valve, the company that makes the Steam Deck, that also owns and makes Steam. You have their support. That's a big military you're working with. And so it's quite known that the Steam Deck Oled isn't the most powerful handheld on the market. And sometimes, with Dragon's Dogma 2, you can lack a bit of power. Sometimes you can't even play it. But Valve is working with developers to squish the game down to the Steam Deck's level. For example, Cyberpunk, or any project from CD Projekt Red, Witcher as well. They have Steam Deck graphics settings that are the most optimized for the Steam Deck. They look great and they run really smooth. It's really cool. If you look through the Steam Deck compatible games, these are games where Valve has actually communicated with these developers and found a way to make it the most compatible for you. That's a huge plus. Another great thing is with Valve on the Steam Deck, gaming is the central focus. There are no third-party softwares or operating systems like Microsoft that have their own standards that the company has to work with. Valve has curated the Steam Deck to its own way of doing it, right? It's kind of like having an M1 MacBook Pro or a Silicon Mac. It is made for the MacBook Pro. And with that being said, you get the best efficiency, the best performance. Another great thing is updates. You're getting a lot of updates from Valve. Glitches come in. All right, we're working on it. Boom, spit it out. Complete, done. Super cool. Number 5 is it's affordable. Okay, the price that you pay for the product that you receive is mind-blowing to me. You receive way more than what you're paying for. And it's so cool because Valve actually makes money from you buying games and playing on Steam. They don't have to jack up the hardware prices. And so when I made the Steam Deck purchase, I felt no buyer's remorse. I felt no regret because I spent a fair price on what I was getting. They actually over-delivered what I was expecting. And that is so cool. And that's just me. It can be different for any other person, but I would agree. I would assume others kind of know what I'm talking about. Oh, and number 6, this is a weird one, but it's super valid. And if you're human, you might know what I'm talking about here. And it's that you hate the fear of missing out. Okay, and what I mean by that is, you buy a new phone and then all of a sudden the new Galaxy S25 comes out, has all these better specs, this and this and that. right? You just felt like you missed out right then and there. With the Steamdeck OLED, you're not going to feel like you're missing out. Sure, there's competition that are really shooting the hoops with their higher APUs and their, their better specs, higher frame rates, but it's not packaged like a Steam Deck. You're not going to feel like you wish you did something better unless you really do care about performance. If you play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and you need those 100 FPS frames, okay, maybe you might want to stick with a Windows handheld. Now, as I mentioned, there are some reasons why you shouldn't buy this if this is your first handheld. One is there are some limitations with Steam Deck. Because it's on Linux, not every single multiplayer game is optimized for it. So, for example, some of the Battlefield games, you'll get banned for anti-cheat, or you can't even play the game, sorry, you won't get banned. But you can't even play multiplayer because anti-cheat isn't compatible with Linux. Some other limitations might be, you can't load Xbox Game Pass games onto the Steam Deck. I mean, you kind of can. It's a little difficult though. Maybe I'll make a tutorial on it, found a way, but you can't play if you're coming from a PC, if you have games on GOG launcher, you're gonna have to do some configuring to get those bridges to put a bridge in between the gap. But as time goes, compared to last year, limitations are really disappearing and there's more freedom, which is super cool. Number 2 is performance. This is what I always say. I would classify the Steam Deck OLED to be a Honda Civic. It is not a sports car. It is not the fastest car, but it goes on the highway just fine. If you really want that sports car, you really want to go 0 to 60 in about 5.43 seconds, the Rog Ally and the Legion Go are for you if you care about that. But with that comes the responsibility of managing Windows on a handheld, okay? And it's just more responsibility. It's like taking a sports car to the shop. You have to do it a lot more, and it costs a little bit more, right? And by cost, I mean time. Thank you guys for taking the time to check out this video. If you have questions, comments, people are there. I made a Discord dedicated to handheld devices. If you have specific problems, Discord, these guys have your back. It's so cool to see the community actually help each other and figure things out. Join the Discord too. Anyways, peace out, y'all, and take care.